Hey guys, in the mountains of central Japan there is this tunnel that lots of people seem to believe is haunted. So we asked a few people about it before we went there, and just about everybody we asked had heard about it, and lots of them, if not most of them, believed it. In actual fact, getting people to come and actually go through the tunnel was really difficult. Nobody wanted to do it. So this is the newer one. This tunnel was opened in 1960, and the story is that truck drivers often see a lady dressed in white standing beside the road in here, and sometimes they'll stop and offer her a lift, and when they get to the other end, as they get to the exit, she disappears. So the story is that she died in a landslide during a typhoon. Now, we didn't actually know that part of the story until after we went to the tunnel, and we're actually doing this on the day of a typhoon passing through Japan. So we've had a couple of typhoons pass through lately, and the day we went up to see this tunnel there was a typhoon passing through, and we didn't actually know that at the time, so we got chills when we got home and found that out. But the story is that there was a typhoon and a landslide, and she died in the landslide, and that's actually really common in Japan during typhoons. Usually if people die, it's usually from landslides or from flooding. So in this case it was landslide. So that's that tunnel that a lot of people say they feel eerie in. They say they sometimes see children's writing appear on their windows and all sorts of things. However, this is where the original tunnel is, and this is where all this started. There's an original tunnel that was opened in 1897, so that's 120 years ago. And that sign there says that there's no access to it, but there's no date on the sign. So that's the old tunnel's the one we wanted to get to, so we decided to go there because the road's not actually closed. It's saying there's no access to it, but there's also no date on the sign. So we decided that was our main mission. That's what we wanted to do. So we decided to go up and have a look at that. So the lady's the main story we kept hearing from other people. They also say, yeah, the kid's writing appears on the car windows with, like, by hand, like some kid's been drawing on the window with their finger or something. And the other one is voices and moaning and things like that. So it does definitely have a feel, there's no doubt about it. Winding up this little road, the further we went, there was a definite feel to the place, there's no doubt about it. One of the people we asked about it had been through the new tunnel a few times. Most of them refused to go up to this whole one, they just don't want to know about it. But someone we asked about the new tunnel said that they always feel uneasy going through it, always have a bad vibe. See the drop off to the right there? They're actually working on that at the moment. This was a Sunday, so there was no one around, and it was a typhoon, so it was closed. So just to show you that drop off, have a look at this. Yahoo, that's pretty high. Straight off over the edge. And you can see it's fairly mountainous country, so that landslide typhoon story, look at the countryside around here. And that is the truth, that usually in typhoons, when people do get killed in typhoons here, it usually is through landslide or through flooding, so it's not an unusual story, that part of the story. So this used to be the main route. This is between Aichi and Shizuoka, heading really towards Nagano, but it just sort of cuts the corner of Shizuoka. So this used to be the main route, which would have been pretty hairy if it was busy with cars coming both ways. So obviously 1897 it wouldn't have been an issue, but by the 50s it probably would have been fairly exciting. But nobody sort of wants to go up there anymore. Obviously it's because the road's not real safe now, but also because of these stories about the tunnel. So we had typhoon all week, and then we had the typhoon was actually there this day. The part where we're pretty lucky that when we're passing through here, it had sort of settled a bit, and then the wind picked up again after. But you can see trees down around the place here, and that little track there covered in leaves and things. So it was definitely, there was the effects of the typhoon were all around us. Didn't look like anyone had been through since the last one passed through. There was definitely a feeling about this place, there's no doubt about it. Look at, did you see that little landslide there on the left hand side? Very common after the heavy rains. Here we go, have a look at this. We're almost at the tunnel, right? So here we are, right up there, and there's a house there, look. What a place to live. So here we go. There it is. So he thought that was a bat at first flying around in front of us. It's not, it's a sparrow, but interestingly it stayed just ahead of the car all the way through the tunnel. It just kept flying around in front of the car all the way through to the other end. There's definitely a feeling in here, no doubt about it. Even for those of us who don't believe in ghosts and supernatural things and that sort of stuff, it definitely had a vibe, no doubt about it. So 1897. Apparently there was some fatalities when they built this older tunnel as well, so there seems to be a few stories about some pretty bad luck around this tunnel, with some workers dying and with their lady dying in the typhoon and the landslide. And kids, lady and kids. There seems to be a few different stories about this place. It's pretty famous. So, turn off the headlights just to see if there was anything we could see. Just turn off the headlights to see if we could spot anything. So, not satisfied with just driving through, thought you guys would probably want us to experience walking through as well. So we've already just driven the whole length, so there's no need to go the whole length, but we wanted to walk in and see. Tell you the first thing that we noticed, there's a real wind coming straight through from the other side. Really, really chill wind it was. You can hear it, can't you? It was really quite a strong wind. It was quite surprising because even though there's a typhoon, this was sort of a lull in the typhoon. It had sort of gone calm as we came up the mountain. It had gone calm. It wasn't really blowing very much outside. And look, you look at the other end there. It wasn't really blowing much at the other end either, or at our end. So that was pretty weird. And it was blowing straight towards us as well, which was sort of weird as well. Sort of resisting us going inside, sort of thing. And again, this is from the point of view of folks who don't believe in supernatural and ghosts and that sort of thing, but there is definitely some vibe about this place, no doubt about it. Just a small detail too, had a pretty good LED torch, but it didn't seem to make any difference in there at all. Just couldn't see the light from it. Shone it around, couldn't really see anything, so just gave up on that. That wasn't working. Came back a bit so you guys could see a bit more because it was so dark up there. Some pretty good sounds in there too, so just put the camera down for a minute just to let it stabilise a bit, let you have a bit of a listen without the noise of the old fella wandering around in the dark. Let's have a bit of a listen. Definitely has a vibe, no doubt about it. Anyway, so we did it. So make of that what you will. The vibe could well be just psychological based on the fact that a person has heard these stories. Fortunately, we hadn't heard the typhoon story. That was a bit ironic, wasn't it? But, you know, if you hear stories like that before going into a place like that, of course, it could give you a preconceived sort of tension about the place. Combine that with the darkness and the stories and the sounds and so on. Bit of wind. Katabatic wind from a mountain isn't unusual. Anyway, there it was. The haunted tunnel in Japan. More videos coming soon.